The show came about because there was an opportunity in this space to show what I had been doing throughout the year. And my work is always, coming from the same place. I think it's all abstract, and I continue to be fascinated and curious about what's possible within abstraction as a formal aesthetic and as a methodology and as a way to engage in what interests me, what piques my imagination, so to speak. So I think a lot of artists struggle with, what do I call my work? What do I say it is? And most of what I do, I realize, comes from a nonverbal place. So although I speak a lot, I talk about it to artists, and I still have difficulty with how do I explain what I'm doing. So I realized quite a few years ago that often when I'm looking at my work after I've done it, I recall a place or a feeling I've had in the past in a particular time or in a particular location. So having grown up in Los Angeles in the South, relatively speaking, I have this kind of romantic notion of the North, and in painting, not in a single instance, but over time, I realized I heard myself talking about light and the kind of light that I see here or experience here. So I said, well, it's not northern lights like although I have seen them in Fort St. John, but just the ambient light that's here. And for me, I could reference, if I wanted to, Diebenkorn's Ocean Park series, and they're really not about Ocean Park. They're about Ocean Park as a location in Santa Monica, a specific area where he had a studio. And I liked the fact that I think what Diebenkorn was saying is that it's not about a particular day, it's about the ambient light that he experiences there. So for me, that rings true. So for me, northern light is my way of directing someone's attention or experience of the work and highlight the fact that it's really light-filled in some way and a very particular kind of light. So it's a romantic notion. It's not, I would say it's more poetic than descriptive. So, and I did most of the work, 80% was done March, April, May. So I've had the works kind of stored away for a while. And I did get some time to do some new pieces, maybe a half dozen or so are new. And they're fresher, but every year for the last 20 years, one of the things I've done is have an art show of what I've been doing in my own practice. So this year I decided, well, I better do the 20th one because, and this is the first time in 20 years, since 1994, that I haven't had to reconfigure my own studio, because I teach, as a lot of people know, I teach art classes, and then on 3 days I do my own work. And I was able to walk into this space that I helped curate before. I knew the space, and my friend offered it to us, and D'Ambrosio, so I was able to install it in a way that was more like a gallery and make it more sparse, have more opportunity for people to see the work in the way I think I would like it to be seen. And so that was a really a treat for me, in a sense, and not always available. So I had an opening on Friday. I decided to do it for 3 days because my abstract group that I work with, they had rented the space for 3 months, and they kindly allowed me to have 3 days. That I said, well, if I could have 3 days, do it over a weekend, have a Friday opening, that would be great for me. So that's what we did. That's where the show was 3 days. I have had shows that lasted for 2 weeks, and I sit in an empty gallery for weeks at a time, which is fine, but I didn't feel like doing that. I have a lot of other things going on. So the response was, I was very pleased and honored to, people really were moved by a lot of the work on Friday night, and I had a very enthusiastic response in particular pieces. So that's a big sense of payment for me. You know, it's just a way to share what I do. I get some affirmation in a way and encouragement, and I'll continue to do more. Visual.